Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of Mountain County Sheriff's Office. This is Attorney Sandra Doorley. Mr. James Fielding Jr. in Town Court. Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. This is the Freedom of Information Law, dated this July 10th, 2023. I'm demanding information from you, which includes disclosure of the names of my prosecutors of silence. I've been in jail 6 times. Disgusting, sickening train wreck. District Attorney Sandra Doorley. 6 times, and 6 times the prosecutor's not talked in court. What are the names of my prosecutors? This is the payroll for the District Attorney's office. You, Perry Duckles, the Deputy District Attorney, and you, Mark Monahan, Assistant District Attorney, know who it is. Tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence. Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. That's the way you can reach me on email. 620 Park Avenue, PNB, number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. That's how you can reach me. At an address. That's not a home address. Or you hacks, sociopaths, and cretins and criminals at the District Attorney's office can call me at 813-648-4441. That number's on the foil. And you can tell me you want me in front of one corrupt judge where you don't have to talk at the District Attorney's office to make an argument I committed a crime and I can be delivered to jail. Because that's happened with John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Town Court, Paul C. Metzler in Town Court, and Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. How is any citizen in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? You, District Attorney Doorley, had a form, what's called the Conviction Integrity Unit. What does this contraption do? What does this 1984 do? And why did you form it? I haven't written anything in the FOIL documents I'm going to read momentarily about it, but I have demanded answers from you before, and I have written the FOIL for you before. Do you exonerate citizens? It's that simple. Do you say, you haven't committed a crime, you shouldn't have been in jail, here you are, the exoneration? Because I believe this is your beauty contest, this is your window dressing, so you can tell the United States Department of Justice or anybody else has regulatory power and control over you that you have this contraption. So, the freaks are on here. Tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence. Perry Duckles and Mark Monahan, and you, Public Defender Julie Sianka. Know the names, and so are you, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips. And you're refusing. That's just insane as far as refusing. I just don't place the Freedom of Information Law in the mail and hope it gets there. This is on May 27th. Here's your name right here, you pathetic diva, Sandra Doorley. On May 27th, I'm telling you to tell me the names of my prosecutors. There's other information I'm demanding here on this May 27th. Trinity Ross, the United States Attorney, received that document on that May 27th. And you refused to disclose that information, which is the names of prosecutors in a public proceeding. So here you are again on June 22nd, you pathetic diva. You looked at the FOIL and you refused. This is why you're corrupt. So here you are again on June 23rd. Your name right here arrives at the District Attorney's office, telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors, and you refuse because you're corrupt. That's just astounding. I cannot find out the names of prosecutors in a public proceeding. So here you are again on June 26th. What's today's date? Right here on June 26th, the FOIL arrived in New York. You looked at it, refused to disclose the names of my prosecutors. This is why you're corrupt. And June 27th, I sent it to you. This is your name. The first name is Michelle Crowley. You, Michelle Crowley, indicted me. I talked about this repeating. When I pursue you to respond, I'll say you refuse to respond. Michael Houlihan and Don Benedetto, Todd Baxter, $73,000 freak and $85,000 freak walked onto the private property of my 72-year-old neighbor who lives alone with a dog. And they ran at me the night. I turned around and run away and never stopped running. I grabbed a hammer next to my bike. I placed it first. My foot on the first 3 steps to run through a sliding glass door. Michael Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer goes up like this. I pull away, run through the sliding glass door. I never stop running. You don't know any of this, Michelle Crowley. Any other facts, circumstances I'm going to leave out. And you convene the grand jury Well, I'm not called for an interview. I'm not called to testify before the grand jury, and you indict me with these 18 to 24 anonymous idiots that you want to be anonymous idiots, that you can manipulate. And when Michael Houlihan states in that grand jury, I swung a hammer at him, Michael Houlihan becomes perjurer. He's still employed at the sheriff's office, right, Todd Baxter? Despite what I've been saying about him. It's right there on YouTube. It says perjurer, Michael Houlihan. That's the name for YouTube, if I have that right. I'm just doing this from recall. I'm not perfect. I will state something that is inaccurate because it's something that I did 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months ago. And for 6 months, and for 12 months, and for 18 months, I'm telling you fucking degenerates to tell me the names of my prosecutors at that district attorney's office, that revolting shack, and you're refusing. Why do you need a conviction integrity unit? The answer is really simple. Innocent citizens are in jail because prosecutors don't talk in court. So, on this July 10th, as the light comes streaming through this window here in my little apartment in Rochester, New York, where I was evicted because my psychopath landlord Anthony Spano Fairport, while I own nothing and have nothing. My name is Christopher Chichester. I've been an innocent man my whole life. This is the Freedom of Information Law communicated to you on this July 10, 2023. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, Todd, Christopher Chichester as one. Day, month, and year the grand jury is convened. 2, the assigned district attorney's office employed to address the grand jury. 3, the witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 4, the vote of the grand jurors. 5, transcript of the grand jury proceeding. Did you, Michelle Crowley, address this grand jury? Is it you making an argument in front of these 18 to 24 anonymous idiots? Or not? Is it somebody else? This is my life, you disgusting, revolting, sick degenerate, and tell me the answers to these questions. I have to explain this to the individuals in my life, and some of them are no longer in my life because they don't understand when I explain. Tell me the answers, and I hope you know. Because then, when I go to the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court, which is, I believe, where an attorney can be disbarred, I'll say you refused. An assistant district attorney, director of the grand jury, who indicts me is refusing to be accountable and answer questions about our own grand jury. And that's you, Michelle Crowley. I walk into the Penfield Public Library. I do not know this is the last time I leave my residence at 26 Sandra from Drive in Penfield. Because psychopath cop, $75,000, Richard J. Seaman, is looking at my front door. I walk into the Penfield Public Library. Seaman runs at me in the library, slams his arm into the side of my head. I fell backwards. My head hit the ceramic tile, puts the handcuffs on me. Frog marches me out of the library. Down the hall is Paul C. Metzer waiting for me underneath the most hideous wigs and Phyllis Diller. And there's nobody from the district attorney's office there to make an argument I committed a crime. That's when I meet my public defender, Julie Sianka. Why don't you call me on the phone, Julie Sianka, $87,000, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips, and tell me I'm supposed to be in court? Is this constitutional? I don't believe it is. Well, not state something that's unconstitutional because I'm not an attorney and because of how bizarre the law is. Freedom of information law here. So, the issuance of a new check to Christopher Chichester address below for an expired check in the amount of $61.39. The County Monroe Office of Sheriff May Fund account. But that's the dollar amount in the pocket of Chichester when he was violently attacked in Penfield Public Library with $75,904, Richard J. Seaman of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Violent psychopath cop will not be fired. I saw him when you arrested me for double jeopardy on Penfield Road. I'll be on here again talking about double jeopardy. The fiction and the fantasy that's in the head of 73,000 Michael Houlihan, he thinks I tried to assault him, which is not a crime. There's no such thing as attempted felony assault. Now, as Renzi told me in New York State Supreme Court, there he is standing there on Penfield Road with my double jeopardy arrest. What am I talking about, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Do you know? I don't think you do. One of the names of my prosecutor's silence. Because I have prosecutors when I appear in court. What are their names? Is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn, who's now in Monroe County Court with 17% of the vote? She's not a victor. A judge on a court is not the victor. It's really mind-blowing. You don't think it's mind-blowing at the district attorney's office, right? You don't think these ballot access laws and these laws that allow a judge to be in a court was not a victor is an abomination, right? I'll guess. I can't get into the state of your minds. But you want to get into the state of my mind at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office with what? Todd Baxter, a 730. What's a 730, you degenerate? Freedom of information with documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for John P. Lynch Dream, Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? Is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn? Freedom of information law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Paul C. Metzer, Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? This is the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy. I know what he looks like. I don't know his name. Tell me his name. Perry Duffy, Mark Monahan. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation of the case for District Justice for Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court was the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? This freak prosecutor forced me into Alex Renzi, who remanded me to Monroe County Jail for what? 7:30. This is how dangerous this $208,000 hacking fossil. Did Alex Renzi just do this to me himself? Or is this the assigned prosecutor for me? What's the answer? I do not know if this disgusting, revolting former employee of the district attorney's office decided he wanted to compel me into New York State Supreme Court and you don't know about it. Tell me if you knew about it. Assistant district attorneys, employees of the district attorney's office. Do I have an assigned prosecutor before Alex Renzi? Because I'm standing right in front of him in the courtroom. I have to, right? Or wrong? Tell me the answer. So, Todd Baxter. He gave my private health care records to Paul C. Metzler. This is what the Department of Justice, the Office of Governor Kathy Hochul, and others that have regulatory power and control over you. My former employers, the United States Senate, United States House of Representatives passed the Health Insurance Privacy Protection Act of 1996 to properly protect healthcare records. My healthcare records, Sheriff Todd Baxter, Monroe County, are not properly protected. You disgusting, sickening Benito Mussolini fascist and stooge. When Paul C. Metzler has my healthcare records right in front of her, because you gave them to Paul C. Metzler. Freedom of Information Law. Copy of the private healthcare records delivered to $28,000 penalty town court Judge Paul C. Metzler by Sheriff Todd Baxter from Monroe County, violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. When I would go to meetings of the full Judiciary Committee, where my boss, Congressman Mark Smith, was chairman of one of the 5 subcommittees, they would occasionally talk about healthcare records, especially the Democrats. There are things Democrats do that I'm really amazed that Republicans blow off as really not important. But in the Judiciary Committee, the Democrats, when I would sit there and you can see sometimes on staff are sitting against the wall, that would be me, they'd be talking about healthcare records. Well, I never thought that I would be here talking about my own healthcare records, Todd Baxter, and you deliver them then to this fascist Paul C. Metzler in a little room in Penfield, New York, as Penfield Town Court. Speaking of being a fascist, January 16, 2023, fascist Sheriff Todd Baxter compels me to write this language. January 16, 2023, Todd Baxter, Sheriff, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, New York, 14604. This photograph is why I'm fanatic. This photograph is why I'm extremist. This photograph is why I lie. This photograph is why I know the name is $67,000 disgusting act, Jenna Meyer. This photograph is why people hate the police. That's 2025 Penfield Road. Freedom of Information Law. Cost of found size purchase with taxpayer house while County Sheriff Todd Baxter fixed to a building 2025 Penfield Road to monitor Christopher Charges 26 Sandra from Drive, walks through the park lot next to the building, and that's the lunatic fringe. This is private technology, Sheriff Todd Baxter, on his building for a business called Consumer Insights. Well, you're also president, you buy it and fix it for me. The public defender sent me the links. Regina Harper, who I don't know if is employed to the public defender's office, because she wasn't on the payroll when I looked at it, send me links. I believe if you were asked by an employee of the United States Department of Justice, because I contacted the United States Department of Justice, in the person of Merrick Garland, who got a packet from me, in the person of Trini Ross, who has multiple packets from me. I believe if somebody asked you, we heard from the citizen, it's something that's really strange, that he says you bought a surveillance device to concoct a crime for him and walk through a park lot he's walked through 4,000 times. And we've never heard anything like this, because this is really a freak show, Sheriff of Monroe County. And we decided to call you, you freak Sheriff of Monroe County, to find out what the answers are. Now, of course, you're not going to hear that language, but that possibly is what can be communicated with you in different language. Tell me what the answer is. It's a sexual harassment at the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office. I'm not going to define that on this day. Because I only have so much time in 14 minutes. I'm trying to move back to Albany. Every day is what I'm doing. And more time I'm on here. And the other thing is that it is exhausting being on here. Because I can feel a hatred coming up inside me for what I have for you. And anybody that's known me throughout my long life, 58 years, say he doesn't have any hatred. I have absolute unrelenting hatred for you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, and you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and these psychopath judges. And that is not good for anybody's health. You should be able to see it on me. So, freedom of information on the cost tax rates, American Sheriff Todd Baxter, suspended taxpayer analysis, settled employment-related discrimination lawsuits, failed to comply with Title VII, Civil Rights Act of 1964. Tell me if there's sexual harassment with that revolt in Jonestown. Freedom of information on the cost taxpayers with District Attorney Sandra, suspended taxpayer analysis, settled employment-related discrimination lawsuits, failed to comply with Title VII, Civil Rights Act of 1964. Tell me if there's sexual harassment at that revolt in Jonestown. Freedom of information on the cost taxpayers with Supervising Judge Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, expended taxpayer analysis on employment-related discrimination lawsuits, failed to comply with Title VII, Civil Rights Act of 1964. So, I'll look at that. I think you should be in jail unless sent to jail as one person. Overtime, time and a half. So, freedom of information on total cost of overtime, time and a half, how paid on base house calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. So, Todd Baxter, on your payroll, overtime, time and a half, standard 40-hour work week's first page of payroll. So here you have, on the first page of payroll, Kim A. Hinckley, $121,987. Kim A. Hinckley, $121,987, $10,000 less than you. Can she be paid more money than you with overtime and time and a half? Tell me the answer, Sheriff Todd Baxter of Monroe County. You refuse because you're in a matrix. What's a matrix? It's an alternate reality. It's your divorce from the truth. That's what you are, Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley. An alternate reality divorce from truth. Tell me if your employees receive overtime, time and a half. So, freedom of information on total cost of overtime, time and a half, how paid on base house calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley. So here is payroll for District Attorney's Office, third page. Is Drew M. Croft, 63,471. Can Drew M. Croft, 63,471, receive overtime, time and a half? You refuse to answer because you're in a matrix. What's your matrix? You're divorced from the truth. You live in an alternate reality. You do not know the difference between right and wrong. You're disgusting, violent, sick. Tell me what the answer is. So, who's Frank Chernetsky, Todd Baxter, 57 years? You have to answer about him when I contact the patrol, and you refuse to answer. This is really out there, the lunatic fringe. Cost for photography session, a photo of 10 Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees underwater in a pool. I don't care, it's a private event. Be a private event, tax dollars. Tell me what the answer. What's Ryan Fisher doing in Atlanta, Georgia? Todd Baxter. Get your employees underwater in a pool. You got Ryan Fisher, Atlanta, Georgia. You're testifying before the House Rules Committee in Capitol Hill. Has nothing to do with law enforcement. Freedom of information on names and salaries of every public employee. Pamphlet Court, 1985 Bad Road, Pamphlet, New York, 14526. Redirect defendants away from these two hacks and fossils. $28,000 policy measure, $34,000 James Money Jr. employees at the District Attorney's Office, because then you won't have innocent citizens in jail when prosecutors don't talk in court. What happens to me is policy measure is one person convene Pamphlet Court without notification of the District Attorney's Office to deliver them to jail. That means she could do this to any citizen of 36,000 in Penfield. And this is why you need a conviction integrity unit, because of a sociopath like Paul C. Metzler. Freedom of information on names, salaries of a public employee in New York State Supreme Court on the Supervisor Judge Alex Renzi, 99 Exchange Boulevard in Rochester, New York. I'll look at that and think he should be arrested, and I want him in front of me so I can declare him guilty of something you concoct. So this is Ryan Fisher, Atlanta, Georgia. A joke and disgrace. He should never be out of Monroe County. He's not only out of Monroe County, he's out of New York State. He's in the deep south of Georgia. What was the state flag in Georgia until 2003, Todd Baxter? You know why they had to change the state flag of Georgia? Because the heat was coming down on his state, where they used to lynch black citizens, where there were separate water fountains for black citizens, where there were separate bathrooms for black citizens, where black citizens couldn't vote. And he's there in Georgia. You know about Emmett Till and what happened to him. There's story after story. There's Emmett Tills all over Georgia in the 50s, 60s, even into the 70s. This is the famous case where, according to my recall, he said hello and whistled at a white woman. And he's a 14, 15, 16-year-old boy. He is a minor. And he was murdered. I don't know if he was lynched, but he was murdered. So, this is Stars and Bars, Georgia, your employees are in. And the murderers, for Emmett Till, love that fucking symbol of hatred. That's Stars and Bars. Freedom of information law. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket from Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia. Here he is, 1984. Freedom of information laws. We get ready to watch the Super Bowl with grateful men and women sign. Keep fans and players safe in Atlanta, including MCSO's Deputy Ryan Fisher. Deputy Fisher sent this photo from Atlanta. Thank you both your service. Not freedom of information law on Twitter. Here he is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There's the logo. Ridiculous. And the murderers of Emmett Till love this thing that wasn't changed until 2003. Freedom of information. The contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff Office employees to include the name of the firearms contractor, the number of firearms purchased, total amount of taxpayer dollars to purchase firearms. So, tell me what your travel is. You're going to the House Rules Committee in Washington, D.C., Todd Baxter, Senator Ryan Fisher, Atlanta, Georgia, Corey Brown, $155,000, Michael Fowler, $163,000 in Saratoga. You're sending employees out of Monroe County, out of New York State all the time. What's the total cost to travel? Freedom of information. The cost for all travel from Monroe County to New York State employees by employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. You too, Sandra Doorley. Perry Douglas, bring this to your boss, print it out, tell her I demand full disclosure from her about travel. The cost for all travel from Monroe County to New York State by employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. Tell me what the answer is. Freedom of information. The cost for all travel, Monroe County, New York State, by employees of Pemberton Town Court, 1985 Bad Road, Pemberton, New York, 14526. This is why you need a conviction integrity unit. Because this star chamber, this nauseating little room, this Pemberton Town Court, where there isn't a table for a prosecutor to sit at, there isn't a table for a public defender, defense attorney, there isn't a jury box for a jury of 12, there isn't a witness stand for testimony. This room is a joke. That's why you need a conviction integrity unit. There are other rooms like this in Monroe County that are a joke like this joke room. So Alex Renzi is going to look at this. His immediate thought is going to be he should go to jail. I want him in front of me so I can declare him guilty because I'm demanding his travel. He was at this New York State Magistrates Association. I don't know if he was just having a good time and he was sober, and I don't care. But he had a drink in his hand, this picture I saw on Facebook. I thought if I'm in front of him again, I'm going to ask him a certain question, which I did because I knew I was going to be in front of him. And I said to Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, are you an alcoholic, Alex? And I have no idea if he's a sober man, if he's never had a drink in his life. But there he is standing there with this glass. He looked like he was having a good time. And he looked at me with hatred, and it was terrific. Freedom of information law. Cost for all travel from Monroe County, New York State by employees in New York State Supreme Court, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York, 14604. If you have a driver, Sandra Doorley, in Webster, you drive yourself into the office like an ordinary New Yorker, or there's a car, drive to your residence and wait in the driveway with the driver sitting there, and you exit your residence, get in the car, and you're driven into the district attorney's office. What's the answer? I don't know. I'm trying to think of things that can enrage you. I'm trying to think of things that can humiliate you. I'm trying to think of things that can remove you from office. I'm trying to think of things when I contact Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli to demand that you be audited. He's going to think that's really odd, and we need to examine all the finances. We need to open the books of the district attorney's office. And you're refusing to answer me about this. If you have a car and driver, a chauffeur, if you're driving Miss Doorley, there's a reason why I believe you can be audited when I contact the controller. So, all 22 of these have been to you on this July 10th. 22, you comply with 0. Because you're in a matrix. It's a matrix. Alternate reality. Divorce from the truth. So, Richard J. Stephen attacks me. I'm sent to Livingston County Jail. And again, I'm in jail. I'm looking at violence. I'm in this jail where Sheriff Thomas J. Doorley is responsible for the jail. So I went to TikTok, and this is what I said on TikTok. This is in your office. I sent this to you. I'm in this Livingston County Jail as a witness to a violent crime where a state investigator had to interview me because of Paul C. Metzer. This is one of the worst of all the violence I've seen in the 6 times I've been in jail. This is perhaps the worst. The tax for violence at Monroe County Jail on a TikTok mobile application I used May 20th, 2023. This is Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, and Thomas Doorley. Quote, Sheriff Todd Baxter, when I was inmate in Monroe County Jail, was in this man while prosecutor talking to court. I received my lunch tray one day, and 10 feet in front of me, one man attacked another man, and this became a fight, a real fight when the inmate was injured. But it was a vicious confrontation that was right in front of me. And then when I was in Livingston County Jail, I was an innocent man. I'm in Livingston County Jail because I can't be in Monroe County Jail because I was told I was a security risk given what I did to you on YouTube. I was waiting to go speak to a public defender, but before I could open the door, one inmate ran up behind another inmate, knocked him to the ground, and began to punch him on top of his head repeatedly. He hit him on top of his head with a closed fist about 10 times and stood there watching this. And then about 15 Livingston County Sheriff's Office employees came running through the door. I was about to exit, and they immediately broke up this violent attack I watched. So 48 hours later, I was told to go to a room and meet with an investigator because the camera saw me as a witness to this violent attack. The first thing he said to me is, I'm here to talk about the fight. And I said to him, I'm not cooperating with anything that's a fight. I didn't watch a fight. I watched a violent attack on an innocent man. And I sat with him for 90 minutes. He was a total professional, asking me about the violence I witnessed, the violent attack, and he wrote down my language and describing it. I read a statement that was about 1,000 words, and I signed the statement as a witness to this violent crime. I didn't hear anything about this attack in Livingston County Jail that I witnessed. So I witnessed the attack in Monroe County Jail, witnessed the attack in Livingston County Jail, witnessed attacks at other places because of you, Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's going on with Monroe County Jail with violence? I'm not asking you if violence happens in Monroe County Jail. No violence happens in Monroe County Jail. Inmates attack inmates. Jail employees attack inmates. That happened to me, and I explained that on YouTube. Do have a daily report 7 days a week about violence. If there's no violence, you need to be told, quote, there was no violence, end quote, in Monroe County Jail. If an inmate attacks another inmate, do you report it to the district attorney's office? I only have 20 seconds to go, you party-switching, stooge, and degenerate. What you're going to do is refuse to answer because you're not accountable to anyone. There is violence in Monroe County Jail because I've seen it. I'm going to contact you with 1,000 words. I'm going to be on this app repeating about violence in Monroe County Jail and about how you, Todd Baxter, can't control violence at your jail. You can't control violence at your jail. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas. How many times have you prosecuted an individual because there was a violent attack, a violent crime at Monroe County Jail? Why would you refuse to answer that? So Todd Baxter, I'm a violent attack that the pharmacy against the Wegmans by an employee. It's an unidentified employee with 5 equals 10 employees. You're on 10 employees or witnesses. Violent attack by Richard J. Seaman, Penfield Public Library. So Todd Baxter, I'm in Livingston County Jail, and then I was driven north to Syracuse because of you. Where did I go without a mental health evaluation? Do you know where this place is, Todd Baxter? North of Syracuse? Where a doctor doesn't examine me because you're my new doctor. So I'm in this room with 4 beds bolted to the ground. And one of the employees would come to where I was for humiliation purposes. He would say, how do you like your room? I think, what is wrong with this guy? Again, over and over and over, around psychopaths, sociopaths, or anything that's not normal. So one time I thought, I'm not going to listen to this anymore from him. So here I am one night. He comes in. He's got a bald head. He's about 5'10", 180 pounds. How do you like your room? And I say to him, I like it as much as you're doing steroids. So he opened up this door and grabbed me by my shirt and threw me down to the ground. And he started to kick me on the ground. And he leaned over and he was punching me in the head. My head was slamming down against the ceramic tile. And 2 other employees watched him doing this to me at this institution. And they rolled a gurney down, picked me up on a gurney, slammed me down on the gurney, and then my head hit the gurney. And then they wheeled me into a separate room where I'm strapped to this gurney for about 30 minutes. And then another employee came there and sat next to me and said, he's going to come back and stop on your balls. And he sat next to me taunting me as I'm strapped to this gurney at this place north of Syracuse. This happened to me because you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley, where prosecutors never talked to court. I was driven to this place by 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office boys. You could figure it out where it is. So I went back to my room, and that's where James Gibson, who's across from me, says, I saw them hitting you. Those are the exact words. And James and I talked because James is a 1970 a graduate of SUNY Albany, where I went to graduate school. And James and I, we would talk to each other across this large hallway about SUNY Albany. First, I wasn't sure if James was a SUNY Albany graduate because of what he told me why he was in there in this place. So I said to him, "Where's the fountain on campus?" And he said, "It's right next to the administration building." And I asked him a few other things, and I was confident that he was a SUNY graduate because he knew the campus. So again, I'm being violently attacked. Where is this place, Todd Baxter? Because I took the 7:30 mental health evaluation, I was released. Again, a doctor's telling me there's nothing wrong with you. A hearing impaired doctor released me. I view him as someone with a heart of gold. I have seen the darkness of the human condition, which is you, District Attorney Sandra, and you, Sheriff Todd Baxter. And I've seen the light of the human condition. And this hearing impaired doctor, who told me you can say deaf because I wasn't sure, he said he prefers that word. And I'm still confused about the right word to use because everybody should be treated with dignity. Shouldn't be here. How do you explain what you're doing to me when I'm being deposited into these centers because of you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, and you, District Attorney Sandra, and then when I'm examined by a real medical professional physician, I'm released? It can't be explained because it's hatred and it's fanaticism, and you're in a matrix because you can't explain it. So, now as far as my prosecutor's silence, this is corruption again. Perry Douglas, this is February 25th. Here you are right here. 413-918-94, First Assistant Attorney Perry Douglas, identify my prosecutor's silence. February 25th, 2020, this is why you're corrupt. Here's all your emails. You don't use an email once. Christopher.Chastis82 Proton Mail. It's a paid mail account. Mail names of your prosecutor's silence assigned to my court appearances to the address below 620 Park Ave, Rochester, New York. Apply with attached for your information on PDF. You can see me talk to you. You too, Julie Xianki. Here's your link, Bob Defender. It's really insane. I cannot find this information out. So that's February 25th. Moving forward is March 30th. Identification. I'll go with the simple word identification. I'll go with the inflammatory word. This is an inflammatory word. Matrix. Read the attached PDFs and any answer I process listed below. Resign. I understand if I'm not watching again, I'll repeat myself. It arrives in your office. This is in your office. Sandra, look at this right here. Tell me as my prosecutor refused. This is why she's corrupt. This is April 27th right here. This is April 27th, arrived in your office, stapled here. Apply with the 3 attached for your informational documents dated April 27, 2023, mailed in by prosecutor silence, the address of Rochester, New York. I prosecuted silence before Penfield Court's John P. Renzi, Jr., Penfield Court, Paul C. Metzer, New York State Supreme Court Judge, Alex Renzi. Here it is. Psychopaths like the color red. So here it says right here again. What I just read today is here on April 27th. This is why you're corrupt. Documentation for the case for Chris Rochester before John P. Metzer, Jr., Penfield Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? St. Doorley. April 27th. April 27th again. Documentation for the case for Chris Rochester for Paul C. Metzer, Penfield Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? St. Doorley. Documentation for the case for Chris Rochester, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? St. Doorley. April 27th. So, those 3 attacks on April 27th, you want to look at them in PDF. May, June, July. Almost 3 months ago. Everything that's happened to me is because of this parking lot here. That you can walk through the district attorney's office without being arrested. Why is that? You're a different kind of American than me. Everything that happened to me is because of this $83,000 cop freak. It's a little dark here. So walk from my arrest, walk through that parking lot. Will it take French Todd Baxter? Shannon Myers in the Matrix. You don't know. An alternate reality. Divorce from the truth. So, District Attorney Sandra Doorley and Sheriff Todd Baxter.
District Attorney Sandra Doorley, my name is Chris Rochester. I've never committed a crime. Why did you create within your office a separate bureaucracy called a conviction integrity award and answer? I'm going to tell you what I believe it is, but I'm going to contact you in writing about why you created this conviction integrity unit. I believe it's because innocent citizens are sentenced to jail. And a way innocent citizens are sentenced to jail is when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court and a judge has predetermined or pre-decided before a defendant even makes an appearance in court that that defendant is guilty. And that's happened to me with John P. Lomenzo Jr. and Paul C. Messer in Penfield Town Court, and former employee of the District Attorney's Office, Alex Renzi, in New York State Supreme Court. So District Attorney Sandra Doorley, I believe you created a conviction integrity unit because you know innocent citizens are sentenced to jail by fanatical, corrupt judges. But what's your answer? I will contact you with a series of questions via registered mail return receipt for why you created this unit. I read the language on your website. Claims of innocence. I don't have a claim of innocence. I am innocent. And there are facts and circumstances I would detail to, and I already have multiple times a registered mail return receipt to your office. I'm on YouTube. You could go to YouTube, type my name, and everything's on there 84 times on why I'm an innocent man. And it's irrelevant to you. Because in the Jonestown that is your Monroe County District Attorney's Office, you are a cliche rubber stamp for whatever Todd Baxter does. So such thing as an innocent citizen in the District Attorney's Office. If Sheriff Todd Baxter is found as a judge, sociopath, arrested an innocent citizen, you will prosecute that innocent citizen, and innocence is totally irrelevant to you. So on your Monroe County District Attorney's website, Madam District Attorney, there is language about this conviction integrity unit. And what does it do? Does it exonerate citizens? Do you say or declare to a citizen, your rights have been violated and you should not have been prosecuted? And we concur that your rights have been violated, you should not have been prosecuted. Is that what you do? If there's a conviction integrity unit where you're demanding or evaluating the integrity of a conviction, then you should exonerate citizens. And I'm such a citizen. So I'm going to contact you with the Freedom of Information Law about what your conviction integrity unit does with 50 plus questions. And what I'm going to hear from you about your own conviction integrity unit, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, is total silence.
That's right. Total silence. You need a conviction integrity unit because innocent citizens are in jail and prosecutors don't talk in court. How is any citizen in jail and prosecutor don't talk in court? Did you hear the sounds on that app? Because I was outside next to the river. That's the construction going on in East Main Street. The whole city's falling apart. There's construction everywhere. There's orange cones everywhere. There's cracks in the sidewalk. The streets are falling apart. When I left the Park Market last week, I walked down East Avenue. Orange cone after orange cone after orange cone. You know what I'm talking about? This city is in collapse because it's corrupt. You're corrupt. This is the city of Mayor Lovely Warren. What happened to her? A month to go as mayor, and she resigned. She had to go. You're just as corrupt as Mayor Lovely Warren, Sheriff Todd Baxter, and District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So, this is June 24th. Here, this is in your office. It's June 24th. Telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutor's sons, and you refused every single time. So, Shannon and Meyer here, you freak, paid $83,000 right warrant for my house, walked to a parking lot, walked for $4,000. That's why she's a freak. Michael Houlihan lying under oath at Sheriff's Office and at grand jury. Richard J. Seaman violently attacking me at the Penfield Public Library. It's why you're in the Matrix. So the Freedom of Information Law has been communicated to you on this July 10th. While I'm demanding you disclose the names of the freaks prosecuting me in total silence on his payroll here for the District Attorney's Office, and you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, will refuse to comply with every single one because you're in a matrix. I had a mother on the phone. When I get out of jail, my mother's using my full name, which I don't go by. I'm as motivated as anybody can be. Anthony Spano, my 80-year-old landlord, locked me out of my residence. I don't have any clothes with the assistance of my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley. So I buy clothes at the Goodwill. When I'm at the Goodwill, I'm thinking about you, Sheriff Baxter. When I'm at the Goodwill, I'm thinking about you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. When I'm at the Goodwill, I'm thinking about you, Judge Alex Renzi. When I'm at the Goodwill, I'm thinking about you, bald-headed, wig-wearing, $28,000 Paul C. Mess with Pemberton Court. When I'm at the Goodwill, I'm thinking about you, $34,000 James Money Jr. released Jermaine Bamman. So, my landlord, Anthony Ospano, locked the doors and locked me out and evicted me. This is where I am. This is where I was at 70 Liberty Pole Way. They have hearts of gold. Where Felix Iowa Keys of Bronx, New York, is my case manager. I would have been sleeping outside if Felix didn't help me. So I'm here. I'm getting ready to move back to Albany. This is founded by the great William Booth. I was born at Booth Memorial Hospital in Queens, New York on July 4, 1965. Life must mean something if I'm here. Founded by William Booth, and I'm born at a hospital named after him. But Felix and I would talk, because Felix, when I would say, can I be here, even though I've been in jail? Because they have rules that you have to follow. They will eject you. They will discharge your ass immediately. It's no free ride here. So I would have been sleeping outside with my health at risk anywhere in Monroe County if Felix IRT's, this terrific organization, did not help me. When I write the criminal complaint about Anthony Ospano, this 80-year-old sociopath, locking the doors and locking me out of my residence, I lived in Penfield, 26 Sanders Farm Drive for 8 years. 80-year-old Anthony Ospano will not be arrested. It takes a court order to lock a citizen. I already know the reason why you want to arrest him. You say it's the length of time, or some other fiction, some other fabrication, some other lie. So I was able to eject myself from here and have a normal life because I was helped again by Robert J. Valente, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. Just like Felix IRT's, a heart of gold. You wouldn't know anything about that. You should have darkest of the human condition. Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Paul C. Metzler, and James Money Jr. on Pemberton Court, Alex Renzi on New York State Supreme Court. I'm demanding disclosure of the names of my prosecutor's silence, so I begin a process to disbar each. How am I in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? How am I in jail 6 times and 6 times a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? Because that's a matrix. My name is Chris Chichester. I've been an innocent man my whole life.